Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, my name is Caitlin, and on this channel I upload all sorts of different types of content relating to true crime, education and psychology related topics. So if that sounds like something you'd enjoy and you haven't already, then please do hit that subscribe button down below, and don't forget to turn on your little notification bell so you know whenever I upload a new video. So for today's case, I'm back discussing the murder of a young woman named Kelly Ann Bates and her whole story, but I do just want to chuck in a little disclaimer here, aside from my regular one, that there will be discussions of domestic abuse, and the details of what this poor woman went through are quite graphic. So if that sounds like something you wouldn't be comfortable with, then please do click off this video. I don't want this to be upsetting or triggering for anyone. So yes, I just wanted to put that warning in at the start here. I do also have a cold, so I apologise if I sound a little bit nasally in this video, but before we get started, I'm just going to zoom through my regular disclaimer that I like to include at the start of all my videos, just letting you guys know that I'm not claiming to be an expert in this case or any of the other cases that I cover over on my channel. I'm simply relaying the information I'm able to find myself through research of certain sources on the internet, and because only certain sources are accessible to me, it means I may get things wrong, leave things out or mispronounce things. I apologise if I do any of those things. I'm not trying to cause anyone any harm or an injustice. I'm simply working with the information that I have available to me. So with all that being said, let's just go ahead and get started discussing the case of Kelly Ann Bates. So the details of James Patterson Smith's early life aren't known in detail, but it is believed that he was born sometime around 1947 to 1948. First married in the year of 1970, and he divorced 10 years later, and it's known that this particular marriage had ended as a result of his frequent abuse towards his wife. Following his divorce, he started a relationship with a 20-year-old woman named Tina Watson, and over the 2 years that their relationship had lasted, he was extremely abusive towards his partner, so much so that many sources had used the phrase he used her as a punch bag. He had reportedly continued to beat Tina even when she fell pregnant with his child, and had tried holding her underwater while she was in the bath. After Tina Watson had managed to remove herself from this abusive relationship with James Smith, he started dating a 15-year-old girl named Wendy Mottershead. And she too had suffered abuse at the hands of Smith, but it's not known exactly how long this relationship had lasted. In 1993, when Smith was in his mid-40s, he started dating 14-year-old Kelly Bates. At this point in his life, James Smith was unemployed and he was living in a place called Gorton in Manchester. The pair had allegedly first crossed paths when she was babysitting some children for a friend, and the pair started speaking regularly from this point. According to Margaret Bates, Kelly's mother, she'd returned to her home in Hattersley, Manchester one day and found her 16-year-old daughter in the kitchen, and she'd brought her new boyfriend with her. This had been her first time meeting Kelly's boyfriend, and as you can imagine, Margaret's first reaction to meeting her 16-year-old daughter's boyfriend had been a complete shock due to his age. Margaret had later told sources that it would be entirely normal for a mother to be so concerned if her young daughter had entered into a relationship with a man who was so much older than her. But she said that her disliking for Smith had immediately gone even deeper than that, and she just felt that there was something so wrong with him from the get-go. In 1995, Kelly had finished school and moved into Smith's home in Gorton, and it's believed that Kelly's parents had not been overly pleased with their plans to move in together since Kelly was still so young, and that age difference just concerned them so greatly. But they had eventually agreed to let their daughter move in with him on the condition that Kelly remained in regular contact with them. Kelly had agreed to contact them regularly, but after a few months of the pair living together, Kelly's parents had heard less and less from their daughter. Kelly was known to be particularly friendly and an outgoing young girl, but they soon started to describe her as so much more timid and withdrawn compared to how she usually was. And one day, Kelly had appeared at her parents' home on an unexpected visit, something that hadn't really happened often since she'd moved out of their home, and her parents had noticed that she had bruises on her arms. When the parents questioned Kelly on her bruises, she had provided an explanation stating that they were just the result of some seemingly typical accidents. Despite her parents having some concerns, the extent of the abuse that Kelly Bates was experiencing at the hands of Smith would not be known until April of 1996. On April the 16th, 1996, James Smith had walked into the Gorton police station and told an officer that he had accidentally killed his girlfriend. He told them that the pair had been having an argument while she was in the bath and she had drowned as a result. What he'd said exactly to the police isn't known to the public, but it's believed that he had painted an image of the incident just being a complete unfortunate accident. When the authorities had arrived at Smith's home expecting to find the remains of Kelly Bates in the state that supported Smith's account of her death, they found something far more sinister. Rather than being in the bath where they had expected to find her, they found her unclothed remains in the bedroom and blood all over the house. When Kelly's remains were examined, it was determined that she had sustained over 150 injuries in the past month. They discovered that in the few weeks leading up to her death, Kelly was also being starved by Smith. He'd also subjected her to a number of other cruel behaviours, including leaving her tied up to a radiator for long periods of time by her hair. They found burn marks determined to have been from a searing hot iron, signs of strangulation, and a disturbing amount of small stab wounds all over her legs, torso, and even her mouth from a number of different tools, including knives and scissors. But sadly, it does not end here, as they discovered that Smith had brutally disfigured his young girlfriend, partially scalped her, cut areas of her face and genitals, and they discovered that he used a number of different instruments to do this. At least 5 days before her death, Smith had also gouged out Kelly's eyes in a cruel form of torture and then stabbed at the eye sockets. The authorities had concluded that the extensive torture that Kelly had been subjected to had taken place constantly over the period of time that they lived together, the entirety of that period. It was determined that Kelly Bates' cause of death was drowning. However, they did find evidence to suggest that just before her death, she had been hit over the head numerous times with the shower head. And I don't think I even have to say just how brutal and shocking the torture that Kelly Bates endured was. When I was researching this case, I was honestly left so emotional and speechless. I just cannot believe and begin to fathom the sort of person that would put someone through something like that. And as I'm sure you can gather, the evidence against Smith was damning and he was arrested immediately. James Smith initially denied that he was guilty of murder, and he told the authorities that she would put me through hell winding me up, and she would often fake being unconscious. He told them that Kelly would tease him about his late mother, and she would often hurt herself in ways that would look as though he had hurt her. And when investigators had questioned Smith on why he had blinded and mutilated Bates prior to her death, he told them that she had dared him to, like she was challenging him. James Smith underwent psychological evaluations, as it was very quickly believed that he was likely not of sound mind if he was able to put someone through something so brutal. And during his trial, a psychologist who had evaluated Smith stated their belief that he had a severe paranoid disorder with morbid jealousy and would live in a distorted reality, as they put it. Once the jury at the trial had heard the extent of the injuries that Kelly had endured during her relationship with James Smith and the details surrounding her death, they deliberated for a total of 1 hour. And then on the 19th of November 1997, 49-year-old James Patterson Smith was found guilty of the murder of Kelly Ann Bates. He was sentenced to life imprisonment, with the judge recommending a minimum term of 20 years. And one thing that I read repeatedly during my research was that following the trial, the members of the jury were all given professional counselling sessions as a result of many of them struggling to deal with the details and the images of the torture that Kelly Bates had endured. So like I said in the video, I don't think I even need to put into words how brutal this case is and how awful it must have been for Kelly Bates and her family once they'd found out exactly what their daughter had been put through. So my heart does go out to them all, because this case honestly left me speechless. As with all the solved cases that I cover, there is some sense of relief that justice was found, but I cannot help but feel that awful feeling you get when you know that someone was put through something like this. But that is where I'm going to end today's video. As always, leave your thoughts down below and any case requests that you might have, as I will add them to my research list. Thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you found this interesting, and I'll see you guys very, very soon for another video. Thanks for watching. Bye.